Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars and welcome to another of my top 10 lists. Today's top 10 list is for my favourite top 10 superhero films, and I've got to tell you, oh boy, what a difficult list this was to do. And it's important, I think, that you make this distinction that this is my top 10 of my personal favourite superhero films. I'm not saying these on this list are the best. These are the ones on the list that mean the most to me. Although saying that, every single one on this list was pretty much a smash hit, and will be loved by many, I am sure. So very difficult list to do, as I have said. I do hope you enjoy this list. I would love to know in the comments what your thoughts are, what your favourite superhero films are. I'm sure there are many that I have missed off this list. So we shall make a start with this top 10. As always, especially with a top 10 list like this one, there were so many to choose from. There are some that inevitably do not make the list, and I have picked out 3 here, and the first one being Kick-Ass. Really enjoy Kick-Ass. When I remember seeing it at the time when it first came out, it just blew me away. I'm a big fan of it. Yes, it's a little bit naughty, but I don't care. I even enjoy Kick-Ass 2, and I think that deserves a little bit more respect than it got. The second one is Blade 2. The Blade films are very good. Certainly the first 2. I think they missed the mark a little bit with Blade Trinity, I think it's fair to say. But of all the Blade films, the second one is my favourite. It's an absolutely fantastic film. Some great bad guys in it. Luke Goss playing the main bad guy in this one. Some really interesting faces in this one, and I think this is definitely the best Blade film. And the third one that I have chosen is X-Men Days of Future Past. I think an X-Men film needed to make this list somewhere potentially, but out of all the X-Men films, this one is certainly my favourite, X-Men Days of Future Past. There are some very good X-Men films, but like I say, this one's my favourite. It combines both the new cast and the old cast perfectly, and it's a really enjoyable film. It just failed to make my top 10 list, so we'll start now with number 10. So coming in at number 10 on the list is Captain America Winter Soldier. Now, this film, it took me a while to see this one, mainly because I wasn't that interested in Captain America. I thought they kind of dropped the ball with his first film, the first Captain America film, and then this one came out, and oh my god, it absolutely blew me out of the water. It's an incredible film, action film stroke superhero film. It absolutely nails it. It changes the course of the Marvel movies in regards to what happens with S.H.I.E.L.D. It uses its cast brilliantly. Black Widow, Nick Fury, and it's just an absolutely fantastic Marvel film. Coming in at number 9, Spider-Man 2. I think when you strip all the Spider-Man films away and you really focus heavily on them, this is the best Spider-Man film that's been put to screen, even though there are some very good ones. This was released in 2004. It was a huge smash hit. I thought it was Raimi's best Spider-Man film. Great baddie with Doc Ock, and they showed the vulnerable side of Peter Parker stroke Spider-Man, and it's just so brilliantly done. To see him like at such a low point, Spider-Man, and to come back and all this kind of stuff, it's just a fantastic Spider-Man film, and that's why it has made my top 10 list. Coming in at number 8 is Thor Ragnarok. Huge hit. I remember going to the cinema to see this, not being overly excited, and that's mainly because they'd kind of dropped the ball with the Thor films. The first Thor film was okay, the second one again was okay, so it's reasonable to assume that the third one wasn't going to be much better, but how wrong was I? It's such a great film. It doesn't feel like a Thor film. It's an effortless film. It's funny, it's colourful, it's exciting, there's action. Thor and Hulk as a double team is just fantastic. There's nothing I can give you in regards really to a weakness for this film, and it sets up the Infinity films brilliantly too. Coming in at number 7 is Batman, the 1989 version of Batman. I went to the cinema to see this. I was really stupidly excited to watch it, and it didn't disappoint, and it still doesn't disappoint. If you watch this film now, it really does still stand up, and that's mainly down to Jack Nicholson's Joker, but also Michael Keaton, who is starting now to get the plaudits he deserves as being Batman. There's rumours that he's going to return in a new Batman film, in one of the crossover type things. I'd be very, very happy to see that. This is a great film. Batman Returns is very good as well, and it was disappointing that Michael Keaton didn't return for further Batman films after that, but the original is still the best. Coming in at number 6, this might divide some people. It's Unbreakable. It is a superhero film. If you wasn't sure, it really is. It's the most subtle superhero film that's ever been put to screen, but it's a work of genius by M. Night Shyamalan. It's just a masterpiece. The performances here, the central performances by Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, are just what draw you into this film. It's emotional, it's brilliantly written, it's slow paced, yes, but it doesn't feel like it because it's such a wonderful story with great characters, and the follow-up Glass was great as well. Coming in at number 5, I do intend to do a misunderstood movie review for this at some point, because this is almost like Marmite, this film, Watchmen. You either love it or you don't. Well, I'm clearly in the camp of loving it. I think it is Zack Snyder's best film. I don't think he'll ever surpass it as a superhero film. It doesn't present them as these godlike, flawless creatures. It shows their vulnerabilities, their weaknesses, and it shows what the world would potentially be like with superheroes. We're seeing that a little bit with The Boys as well, but Watchman, I think, did it perfectly, and this film is just incredible. That's all I can say about it, really. Coming in at number 4 is Avengers Endgame. Now, one of the Avengers films had to make this list. It wasn't going to be Ultron, obviously, Age of Ultron. The first Avengers, I think, changed the ballgame completely in regards to superhero collaboration type movies. It was brilliant. And then Infinity War, again, brilliant. But I just think Endgame has to make this list because of all the moments in it that made me feel like a kid again. It's an epic film, and it's just breathtaking to look at, with some real end to some character arcs throughout this Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's almost, well, I think it is almost a perfect film, really. Coming in at number 3, Iron Man, the film that started it all for Marvel. Who expected this to do well? I mean, to choose Iron Man, which was not one of the most well-known characters, certainly at the time. And I'll say it again, I think they created here a perfect origin movie, certainly, for Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr.'s casting as Tony Stark was completely inspired. They rolled the dice with him. It paid off massively for Marvel, and they created this incredible film that is just as wonderful to watch today as it was back then, and it took the box office by storm, and Marvel hit the ground running from that moment on when this film was released. It was a great start. Coming in at number 2, and this was very difficult because it was almost my number 1, it's The Dark Knight. I think it's the best Batman film put to screen. I love Batman Begins. I think it's flawless too, and The Dark Knight Rises was brilliant too, but The Dark Knight, what is there to say about this? It's perfect. It looks incredible. It feels well, beautifully written, great performances, and obviously the incredible performance by Heath Ledger as the Joker is iconic. It will never be anything different. Won him the Oscar, and obviously it was an incredible performance. But this film as a whole, incredible. I love it. And coming in at number 1, it might surprise some people here, but this is more, for me, this is my list, as I've said, and it's Superman the movie. It was amongst the first films I ever went to cinema to see. The first film was Star Wars. This came out in 1978, so this was like the summer later, if you like. And I just saw this character. It's the first time I'd been introduced to Superman. I don't remember reading any of his comics before the movie came out, and I was just... It was magic to me, this film, and it still is. I still watch it and I feel like a kid, but at the very core of it, it's a very, very good film. It takes the time to tell a great story, this film. It lets the character breathe, it lets the story breathe, doesn't feel rushed. I think from what I remember, it's probably an hour or so before you even see Superman in this film. But it doesn't matter. It's so brilliantly done by Richard Donner. Incredible cast. Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando, Christopher Reeve and Ned Beatty, all these great actors and performances that have, I think, catapulted it to legendary status. For me, Christopher Reeve is Superman. As great as Henry Cavill is, and I do think he's brilliantly cast, Christopher Reeve will always be Superman. And it's because of this film, and Superman 2 as well, which I thought was very, very good. Is the reason why I've put it at number 1, because it means an awful lot to me growing up and beyond, and I just think it's a fantastic film, so that's why it is number 1 on my list. Well, there you go. That is my top 10 favourite superhero films, and again I reiterate, this is my list of my personal favourites. Again, there's a difference between what are my favourites and what I'm saying are the best, and I think there is a distinction to be made there, so it's important when you watch the list. I would love to know in the comments, like I mentioned earlier, what your favourite superhero films are. I'm sure there are some that I've missed. I mean, there's an awful lot of Marvel movies, and many of the Marvel movies are very, very good. An awful lot of DC movies. I mean, before the Marvel Cinematic Universe came along, DC was king, you know what I mean, in regards to the movies that it was putting on screen. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing this list. It was very, very hard to put this list together, and certainly in what order I was going to do the list, but it was certainly well worth it, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thank you as always very much for watching.